Hello and welcome. I'm Lena Green with MachineKneadToday.com, and I will be demonstrating today how to clean your home kneader, a plastic kneading machine like this, incredible sweater machine by Bond. And we have to clean our kneading machines from time to time, especially when they were in use for a little while, and then all this yarn lint mixed with oil get in the grooves where the needle's resting. So of course the machine needed to be cleaned in this instance, and it's fairly easily done on this Bond kneading machine at home. So please follow me step by step, and at the end of this video you will be cleaning machine pro. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, first step, you need to remove the table clamps which are holding your kneading machine down to the table surface, and just put them aside. The next step, you have to take out all the presser bars. As you can see, I have already removed most of them. They're resting right here. I only have 2 left, and just to show you how easy it is to take those bars out, you just grasp on the edges of the presser bar with your fingers right above the surface of the kneading machine and pull it straight up like this and put it aside. Same with the last piece. As soon as that is done, you will have only needles resting in the channels on the kneading machine bed, and in here, as you can see, I only have 2 needles left right here, and the rest of them already taken off the kneading machine bed and are resting in this mason jar upright, as you can see, and I'll explain you a little later why I do it this way. Now you can easily take all these needles out of the kneading machine bed like this. Just lift them upright and put them in the mason jar. Same with the last one, goes in the mason jar as well, and now you can put it aside. Your kneading machine bed is pretty bare right now, so you just lift it up and flip it over like this. You'll see the bolt underneath of the machine holding 2 pieces together like this. I have already removed mine. These metal rods are holding in other sections of the machine together on the left side of it and on the right side of it right here. So as soon as you remove the bolt, you can carefully separate pieces of the kneading machine from another like this. And after you've done that, your kneading machine is pretty much ready to be cleaned. Now I have to tell you that the plastic on the kneading machines can be washed, can be cleaned with a mild solution of the dishwashing detergent with tap water. And to be careful when you're cleaning it though, because this particular unit has number tags sticking on the surface of this machine so often, so you can damage those. But again, if that's the case, if it will happen, you can remake those numbers later on and place them in the proper areas on the surfaces of the kneading machine. Now one more thing before we start washing everything, this kneading carriage. It is mainly plastic again. As you can see, this plate is plastic. The frame of the carriage is plastic. Only one piece is metal, which should not be washed with the soap, and this is this aluminum frame right here. To take this out, it's very easy. You just pull out the one end of this aluminum part, and another one just comes out like this. And after that, you put the metal piece away for now, and the carriage itself is ready to be cleaned with the solution of soap and water and rinsed well. Now after you're done with all the cleaning, you can dry blot everything with a paper towel or any absorbent cloth you have for this purpose, and then we'll start working on our needles. I'll see you in a second. Okay, we're done with the water bath for all the plastic parts of this knitting machine, and the machine kneading beds are much cleaner right now. We don't have any caked yarn lint with oil anywhere, so it's all great, looking good. And now I'm going to put all the plastic washed parts away for next 24 hours just to make sure that everything is dried, because we cannot touch our metal needles to the wet surfaces on the kneading machine, otherwise our needles will rust. So we have to be really careful about it for now the plastic parts are going to be drying, and we start working on needles. I have these needles already taken off the kneading machine beds, as I shown you earlier. They are in mason jar, and I have a solution of rubbing alcohol in here, and a little bit of gun oil. This particular brand I'm using is Hobbs Elite gun oil. It's a specialized variety, high-end gun oil, and it's suitable for the needles on kneading machine. I just use a little bit, couple drops of this oil mixed with rubbing alcohol in my mason jar to clean up the needles. So I just pour everything in here. As you can see, I have just a little bit of the alcohol in here, about an inch deep from the bottom of the jar, and then I cover the mason jar with my lid right here, throw it in, and start rocking the jar around, roll and rock each and every direction to make sure that all this dark grease and oil and yarn, former yarn pieces, particles are all loosening up away from the needles. And it means that we're doing a good job, we're working it proper way. So let's rock it a little more, like this. Perfect. Now we're ready to take these needles out one by one. Just open your mason jar, and I use a magnetic pen to do this kind of part. This is a magnetic pen, has a little magnet on the tip right here. You can find these magnetic pens in the stores where our mason jars are sold, and they are available freely. So I'll just pull one needle out like this and rub it really nicely with a clean piece of paper towel. And as soon as you've done that, you will see there is a little smudge right here in the area where you was rubbing your needle on, because needles are getting cleaned of all this grime now. All this grime goes on the paper towels. Here's more of it. You can see probably a little bit better right now. So you do this procedure for each and every needle you have cleaned, rub them really nicely and put them aside. So make sure that all these needles are clean. None of those needles are forgotten, because all this mix we try to get rid of old yarn and oil will stick back to those needles if you don't rub it off. Okay, so I will do this procedure for a minute or two, and then I'll be back and show you the next step. Okay, before we go any further with our machine cleaning, we need to figure out what to do with the needles, how to oil them. So for the starter, I have to mention to you that needles on knitting machines have needle butt right here, needle shank, the part which I'm holding the needle with, then it has the latch right here, needle latch. Latch is flexible, goes up and down, closes the, on the next part of the knitting machine needle is a hook right here. Okay, so important part to work on these needles, to clean them, is to make sure that all parts of the needle is straight. So when you look at the needle, make sure that your needle is straight. It's not bent one way or another. The needle butt is in here, is straight up. Then the latch itself is moving freely up and down and closing on the hook right in center, right in the middle. So if your latch is bent to the left or to the right, it will not close properly all the way. As a result of it, you will have dropped stitches when you knit. So make sure that those latches are moving freely, like mine in here. And you have to inspect the work on the latches and the way the needles itself look on each and every needle on your knitting machine. The next step would be to oil our inspected needles, and that part is fairly simple. I use the gun oil, as I mentioned before. It's Hobbs brand, Hobbs Elite gun oil. You can find it in the gun stores, or some Walmarts carry them as well. Make sure that this particular oil doesn't have any additives with it. It's very important, no additives in the oil. then it's safe to use on our knitting machines. I use simple plastic containers, just put a couple drops of oil in here, and like this, and then take each and every needle you already inspected and just dip the head of the needle in the oil. Rub it around in the oil, then take the needle out and spread this oil around the knitting machine needle all the way across. Just rub this oil in. You don't need to have lots of oil on the needles or the parts of your knitting machine. Excess oil is actually not helping at all. It's only make everything worse. So then you do same step with the rest of the needles. Inspect each and every needle, how latches are moving, open and closing freely, if they centered, needles are straight, and again dip the head of the needle in the oil. Rub that oil all the way across the needle. And repeat this procedure for all the needles on your knitting machine, and then you're ready for the next step. Okay, we have our knitting machine cleaned. Main bed is all clean and dry. The carriage is all cleaned and dried now. Knitting machine needles are all cleaned and rubbed in oil. Bars are cleaned as well, so we are ready to put it all together. For the start, you take both halves of the main bed, and in the middle in here you have to align both parts together with the tongue and groove connection, and you just press them both together like this. So now you have one long bed or one unit. Flip this over and you will find a hole in the middle right here. You have to thread the bolt through this hole and tighten them all the way in. So as soon as that operation is done, your main bed is put together. That's a simple step. Next is to put all the needles in the place, and that's also pretty simple. You just take one needle at a time, drop it in the groove on the knitting machine, and make sure all the needle butts are resting against the back rail right here. Step, I use a fairly thick thread of yarn, lay across whole knitting machine in this groove up front right here where the presser bars will go, and then start installing the presser bars. You will see there are little notches on the presser bars right here. I don't know if you can see them or not, right here, and these notches will go in the prepared recesses on the machine. You also can look into your machine and see that sections of the knitting machine are connected together, and there are little protrusions are sticking out. So make sure that this notch on your presser bar fits on top of that protrusion, and then you just push the bar down and it should sit in place just like this. Sits in there. Now the next bar goes lined up with the first one we put in. Same procedure, just line them up and push in. Make sure that the tops of both bars are on even height, so they form one long line going all the way across the knitting machine. Same with the third one, and keep going all the way until you're finished with this presser bar installation. Like this. It's a pretty simple procedure. Make sure that they all lined up evenly and form one rail here up front. So after that is done, you have main bed assembled. You need to put together your carriage. Remember, we have taken this aluminum guide right here out of the carriage before when we're getting ready to wash the carriage. So now we do just a reverse step. We line up the connectors on this aluminum rod with the holes on the carriage, and it's all set. Close your carriage, it's good to go. So that is done. After you have installed all needles in the knitting machine, all the presser bars, and put together your carriage, your machine is pretty much good to go. You just need to take the main bed and attach it down to the table with the table clamps, screw it down, and you're ready to use your knitting machine. So have lots of fun with that. Thank you for being here with us today.